Hello, LinkedIn, and today's weekly sales training is something people have been asking me for the past month or so, and that is, how do you handle objections? Give us the full rundown on objection handling, so that's what we're going to dive into today. I think it's important to first address, how to think about objections properly in the context of sales. First and foremost, objections are normal. If you're not getting objections, that means that the deal is not real. Because if you have a real deal, there's going to be objections every single step of the way. To that point, it's important not to take it personal and to see it as anything you're doing wrong or your company's doing wrong. It's just par for the course. It is human nature to stay in our comfort zone. And when you present something new or a new way of working or even a new person, you're naturally, as a human, going to get your walls up because you're used to doing what you're doing. And this might be seen as a disruption to your everyday. So just accept it for what it is. Second thing is, how do we get better at objection handling? It's like anything. We practice over and over again, so it's almost normal. So that objections and how to handle them roll off your tongue, and you don't even see them as objections. You just see them as questions or concerns. I was very fortunate to grow up in the copier world where everything was activity. We were doing 30, 40 cold calls a day and handling objections all the time. So for me, I don't even view it as an objection. A real objection is what I'm going to talk about today, not the initial kind of, hey, I'm busy kind of stuff, which I can talk to you about how to handle that. But the real objections, like the price is too high, or we don't have time, or this isn't a priority, right? Those are things that we'll dive into. And the last kind of thing I'll say about objections is they're going to be addressed at every stage of the sales cycle. And if you think about objections the way that I do, you have kind of your sales cycle here. And at the end of the sales cycle is a pot of gold, right? Your pot of gold is the sale. And here you are at the beginning, prospecting for the sale, initial meeting. When you finally get a meeting, what do you say? You do your discovery, your detailed analysis, whatever that looks like in your company. You give your sales presentation or your pitch, you play back, and ultimately you have to close them. And every single one of these steps, you're going to have objections. So depending on the objection and where the step is going to determine how you react and address it. So I'm not going to go into every type of objection, every stage. That's something I'm going to cover in my course. If you're interested, I'll give you the information at the end. But for now, I just want to kind of give you the format for objection handling at first. So first thing we want to do is we hear an objection and we want to understand. So many objection courses or how to handle objections are basically, here's what you say if they say this. No, you don't say shit if they say this. Pardon my language. What you say is, help me understand a little more what you mean by that. Can you elaborate further? You really want to understand exactly where they're coming from. Step 2 in objection handling is empathize. And it's not a scripted, I appreciate what you're saying. Other customers have said that too, and they found X, Y, and Z. Again, that's 1990s sales training. Empathy comes from your heart. Empathy comes from truly trying to appreciate their perspective. That's the definition of empathy, not saying something to move past it. If you really understand where they're coming from, you need to dig in first and then put yourself in their shoes. And that alone, that process of showing empathy is going to let their guard down and actually help you get past the objection. The third step is to address the objection. And that's handle it, right? Whatever it is that they're saying, that's when you can say, I had another customer who said the same thing, and here's how we dealt with it. Or, you know what, I truly that must be really hard. Let me share with you how I think you can, get past this, or how we can help in this area. The more you understand, the more you're going to be able to address it properly and actually give them an answer that is legit versus just some canned objection handling that you learned in a sales book. So you address it, and the last step is commit to action. So if somebody is saying the price is too high, for example, at the end of a sales cycle, right? For example, you want to understand it. Help me understand how you think and why you think this is too high, right? Well, maybe it's a competitive situation that makes them think that. Maybe it's out of their budget. Maybe it's something that they don't value. Ultimately, it's probably something they don't value enough to justify the price. But you need to understand that first. And if they don't value it, what do you need to do? You need to work on a business case. You need to understand deeper what it is, the business benefits that you're providing, so that you can go ahead and address it. So I'll just give you a quick example. I'll give you two. So price is too high. Mr. Customer, help me understand, why are you saying that? We've talked about this. You said it's important. Help me understand. Wow, that's tough. I know you're working with a limited budget. That must be hard. You've shared, if budget wasn't an issue, would you, still want to move forward? So you want to understand and confirm that they're interested. It's not just price. So you want to isolate the objection too, right? You want to isolate it. I should have put another step in here. Then address it, right? So make sure that's the only objection first, then address the objection. So if I was to work with you and show you a business case to help justify the ROI, would you be willing to go through that process, that exercise with me? That's a commit to action, right? Another example of understanding is, help me understand how high you think we are, where you think we should be in your mind. What would you be able to do? Okay? If I can get to my VP of sales or my pricing team to get them to, to tell them why. Or another thing, like if they're struggling with budget, like find out why they're struggling, what they're up against. That's all part of understanding. But if I can get my VP of sales to approve a concession, what would that need to look like for us to move forward? So you really, again, understanding, addressing, and then committing to action. Well, maybe they say it needs to be 20% lower, whatever. Okay, great. Well, if I can get that done, would we be able to move forward, right? That's an example. Another example is just in time. Like, I don't have time to meet right now. You get to the decision maker, I'm busy, I don't have time. Okay, let me call you back in 2 months. No, that doesn't work. So here's an example under that time. Help me understand, what you're going through right now, that, you're so busy. Help me understand, what are your priorities if they're not this, right? And then empathize. Maybe they have a huge project. Maybe they have a board meeting come up, right? And address it. Are there other people that are on your team that I can meet with and get some information, to come back to you with in the meantime, if you're this busy, right? Commit to action. So if they can't meet, or another example is if they don't have time, you can say, when would be a good time? It sounds like, this is going to take about a month. Can we get time on your calendar that week? Can I schedule it with your EA, right? So get a commit to action, but you can't do that until you understand, empathize, isolate, address, and commit to action. So I hope that helps you guys. This is something I live, breathe, and sleep. It's just part of sales. If you want to get good in sales, you need to get good at addressing and handling objections, and it comes from a place of empathy. With that being said, if you want more information on other things I teach, or you want to subscribe to my newsletter, I'll put the link below. You can take a look, and certainly, happy to share some trainings. I also have a website. I'm going to be coming out with a training course shortly. Objection handling is just one of many modules that I'm going to be working on. You'll have exercises to apply this to your specific business. I'm here to serve and to give back, so reach out if you need anything. I will talk to you guys soon.